Toyota knitters, we're going to E-wrap cast on. Now I'm going to go through these fast. You're just in luck because I need to retest this machine. The E-wrap cast on is not any different on a Toyota than on any machine, and I have whole videos on them. We're making the cursive letter E somewhat loosely around each needle. My index finger below is keeping my last wrap from uncoiling. I actually normally do it like this, but then you couldn't see what I was doing.
Yeah, I was going to say, that puts your hand right
but
in the way.
when you're all alone in your room and nobody is trying to learn from you, do whatever's comfortable for you. There are my E-wraps complete. Pop it into the threading device. Close the gate always. These are the weaving brushes, and the most certain way to get these first couple rows to knit off well is to put them down, so they'll run across pushing my E-wrap. But it does make it stiff. Row 2, you can't get any claw weights on yet, so reduce the work the machine has to do by bringing the needles forward. So now the carriage doesn't have to do that part, it just has to knit them back. Ta-da! Now we could get claw weights on if we needed to, but one interesting test of how well things are working is, can we get by without them? And we did. After you've knitted a bit, you may be able to raise the weaving brushes just to reduce the wear and tear on the yarn and on your arm. It's easier not to keep pushing them. So that's the E-wrap cast on. Now, because we've cleaned the whole machine, I think I should test other parts of the bed. So we'll test it with other cast-ons. See you in a minute. Just reviewed that last bit of video and realized you did not get to see the weaving brushes. There are two. That's how you engage them. Putting the lever in the up position puts the brush, which you can't see very well, slanted in the down position. In that position, it rolls across the needles right there. That weaving brush, and it says plus, meaning you've added it to the action. That one's engaged, that one's disengaged, and you saw it pop up here. Engaged, disengaged. It's a help whenever you need a little push down to keep things knitting nicely. Whenever you don't need it, I take it out of use so as not to abrade the yarn more than necessary or make it any harder than necessary to knit. And there are occasions when one up, one down is just enough help. By the way, all of these cast-ons begin with a knotted loop. I just do it like this. Double it over, wrap it around the finger, pull that loop through, and use my thumb and finger to adjust to a reasonable size. Hang this on the first needle. Now the cast-on I'm going to try this time is called the double E-wrap. We go under 2 needles, back to the first one, close that latch, pull back, and make an actual stitch. Under 2 needles, so 1, 2, back into the first one, which already has a wrap on it, and that's how come it makes a complete stitch. Double in this case means we're going around a pair of stitches. You can actually even do a triple E-wrap if you need it looser. And that's another reason for double and triple E-wraps. They're stable, but looser than some other things. Looser than the chain stitch cast on or the latch tool cast on, which I did last for certain. Another reason to do it is with yarn that's challenging, having a true stitch already in the needle can make all the difference to success. And of course, we're only doing single bed cast-ons right here. Now technically, I might not even need to move these needles forward because we've already got 2 rows in effect. But when in doubt, I err on the side of conservative. It's a much bigger pain in the neck to have messed it up and need to start over than it is to do this one time. And of course, the carriage is set to knit back from home, all of which is covered in another video. So, the right hand end is responding correctly. Now, Jack wanted to show you some things about getting this carriage correctly seated on the bed and the nature of the bed that are unique to Toyota machines. Alright guys, now we're going to do the latch tool cast on. I'm cheating because I don't actually have a latch tool with this machine, and I'm just going to use a needle for this little bit. It won't give me a cramp. And what I'm doing is crocheting a chain around the needles. Normally my left hand would be over here guiding the yarn, but if I did that you could not see. So I'm doing an acrobatic version of the latch tool cast on. The whole secret of it is to learn to do it evenly, which just takes practice, and not too tightly, because remember, we're soon going to ask the machine to knit through these loops, so they need to be an appropriate size, fairly close to what a stitch would be. And did you see me just hang the final loop onto the final needle? There we go. Tighten it up to match the others. Bring it over to thread it. By the way, I'm using fingering weight yarn and stitch size 6, and that seems to be working nicely. Everything knitted. Same deal as last time. I'm going to bring my needles forward to make it easier for the first row. Good news so far on this end of the bed. One more cast on complete.
Let's talk about some differences in the Toyota. With the Brother machine, all the Brother knitters are used to seeing in this slot a timing belt, flat metal belt with a series of holes in it. That is not on this Toyota. Maybe you can see right here in the separation of the machine, a pivot point. There's a section of rods underneath here with a groove in each one of these rods. The reason being, this is what connects the carriage to that timing rod. You're used to the two little stobs on a Brother coming out on this plate that engage, and you have a CR, carriage release position, on the Brother. Notice on the Toyota, it's this spring-loaded lever. So if you wanted to get the carriage off the bed quickly, pull the lever, lift it up. Now, in order to start the carriage on, move this lever to the O position. It locked those down for us. So now, let's look under the carriage and see where the screwdriver goes in. There's a slot in this front foot. Again, on the Brother, the front foot usually sits on the edge of the bed.
Well, it caps it slightly. We've got a video on that. But this is a little more than slight. It's got an active groove.
And here, I'm going to start it on, and we can look at that. Notice the top edge here. When we're in the right position, top edge, quite a bit of foot below that top edge. Now, I'm going to put it on incorrectly.
Which, by the way, is very easy to do. We've done it a few times. We're getting used to it.
I suggest you do it seated, but now look what happened.
With you sitting.
Yeah, if you're seated when you try to put it on the bed, it's easiest. I always do it standing up.
Now, let's put some needles out and very gently show how come you would know this was wrong.
Right, but first of all, you can see the edge of the bed right there below the foot, but as we come over here, we can't get over there. All right, here we go. We're crossing over, and what's going to happen, these needles are not going to go under the sinker plate.
No, the sinker plate should go under the needles, and it won't.
Right.
It's going to crash into them. It could do a lot of damage to itself or them, depending on exactly how poorly it's seated, but it will not knit correctly.
Now, here we come with it correct, and there you go. Sinker plate passes under the
and it'll
needles.
knit beautifully. You can go ahead and push it across.
Now, here's the other thing I want to show. I'm going to put it in the center here. But now watch. If I move this, now that's going to engage this.
Wait, where's your finger? I'm following. Okay.
It's going to engage this timing rod inside the back of the machine. Just like on a Brother, you would engage the timing belt. Now listen to the difference in the sound.
And you feel it. It's heavier.
Oh yeah, a lot heavier. But that's how you get directional change like you would on the brother, and there's a little indicator over here that shows you this direction.
Wait. I didn't know where to go. There you
this direction or this direction. I'll do it off camera. See, there it is. It changes. It's a little red indicator that tells you what direction you're going in.
We can't. There, I can see it from there. The color doesn't really change if I hold it in an angle. There,
I see, yeah. Now you saw it. Okay. But, again, this lever in the O position...
Wait, your hand's in the way. Use your right hand.
This lever in the O position, the release lever is now locked into place, and you're knitting stockinette, but listen.
It's quieter.
Yeah, you don't hear the added sound of that engaged timing.
Now, Jack is explaining in more detail something that's already in the manual. It tells you how to set your levers for different stitches.
Yes.
But should you have a snafu and something doesn't align properly, what he said may help you sort that out.